Well, number one, huge thank you to our fans and community. I thought that was great. Like school's not even back in session, and we had just a great amount of support today. This is a great, fun brand basketball, and largely in part to the two young women sitting to my right. And so it's just great to be back home. I'll say that. It's been a while, right? And, for us, this was just a chance to start the season, conference season 1-0.
Feels great, like Coach said. I mean, it's amazing to see. Even during break, we got a great turnout, and no better way to start a home opener than with that and with our fans in the crowd. So, yeah, I mean, it's all about momentum and like adjusting throughout the game, and I think we did that coming out the half. We talked about at halftime, knew what we had to change, and I feel like we did a good job. And props to our bench for coming in and like not skipping a beat, coming in and helping us out a lot.
I would describe it as business. I feel like to me it just feels like a business trip. Every time we step on the court, we have a mission, and I'm just trying to take it one day at a time with my team. It's special. Not every team gets to have a feeling like this or gets to have experiences like this, and it just makes it that much more special when we know that where we've come from and to see where we're going. And I know that in the moment where we finally get to where we're going, which is an Ivy League championship and an NCAA tournament run, it's just going to be that much more special. I think just rebounding is a full team effort. So my teammates got my back, I got theirs. When we're blocking out, we're all going for the rebound. I'm just trying to come up with it. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, it's a little thing. I mean, like those O boards were huge for us. Just crashing the boards, and we call it 2-minute drill. Just play fast, play how we like to play. And
yeah, I think there's two things. I think one, the messaging has been really consistent, which is like huge credit to my staff. Right? It can't just come from the top. It's got to come from like literally the next level to the next level and all the way down to the bottom line. And the last part of that is our players have really taken a step forward just in terms of like ownership, accountability. And that's what makes good programs great programs, right? Is like when they can be truly player led, and we're like literally right there and continuing to grow every day. And that's like the scary thing about our team is I think we still are growing, and I think there's a lot ahead of us for us to accomplish. So, yeah, I don't think it was one thing that changed. I think it's just been like an accumulation of those two things, like the consistent messaging, us being stable and continuing to defend the standard of our program, but at the same time stepping back to allow them to step forward into their role. Yeah, I think it's about being humble and like honest with where you are. The one thing we've been trying to really focus on is instead of being like so outcome focused, like winning and losing, right? It's more about like how are we responding to things? What's our approach when we start the day? And to me, as long as we stay focused on that outside noise isn't really going to creep in. But being the hunted is different, and thankfully I've been in programs that were hunted for a long time. And so I do know what that feels like. And, the biggest thing that you can do is talk about it with them so that it doesn't become like this thing that's on the outside. It's, it's about what we do and internally what we do together. But they need to know too, like people are coming for you and, like beating you, much like when Penn beat us, like to celebrate like they won the national championship. It's like, that's the kind of clout that you guys carry around the league. So you got to walk in with a chip on your shoulder and just want to go dominate somebody every time you step onto the court. There definitely have been moments. I think I don't even know if we knew we would be 12-2 last year. Like you just didn't know. Coming off of COVID, everybody was very different. All the teams had a lot of new players. And we just returned a really special group, as did Princeton, right? And I think I knew, like, when we beat Yale at the Ivy tournament, I was like, oh, like we're not messing around anymore. We just, it was like we just had to have that more than one game under our belt to go beat Princeton. Right, last year was a very, very good team. They could have beaten Indiana, go to the Sweet 16. And I think it was just hard to like see that, right, when you're so like in the weeds of your season. Like the first time we played them was 7 games in the conference, and it was like, which is atypical, right? So I just don't know if I knew how good we were yet until like we finally like put that team away. We put Yale away, right? Won by like 30 there, and I was like, dang, like this is how you put a game together. Because we'd always been like the tail of a half. Right, and we were like comeback kids a lot last season, whereas this year we haven't really had to do that in any games. We've always kind of like literally put our mark on the game from the very beginning. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that a lot. I think, again, that's the thing. It's like you got to make sure that you don't – it's not every day that you talk about it. But when it's in front of you 2 days, 3 days a week, then you bring it back to the forefront. But everything leading up into that point was just like you just kind of put it on the back burner. Let that simmer. right? And then when it's ready to boil, that's when we're like, okay, it's attack mode now. Now it's revenge time. But for every other time that we're in the gym or every other week or, you know, even from the last time we played those guys, it's about like, what can we fix? And that's like the very first thing I always say to them. I'm like, I never coach a perfect game. Like, I never do. I always have things I can do better. I always have ways. And as long as we stay focused on that, again, being response driven, I think the revenge stuff takes care of itself. We have really hungry kids. So I'm not worried about them like getting ready to play a big game. You know, I used to sometimes, but it's changed quite a lot. No, it's great. You know, I think our team, and again, as you've said, good teams can go anywhere and step into any gym and beat them. But really good teams, great teams, it doesn't matter what gym you're in, right? And you can. That's like the level of maturity that I think I'm seeing in this team right now. Is like they can literally just show up because it's like up here they're ready. They know they're prepared. They trust one another. They trust me. And when you have trust like that and you're good, it's like a really scary combination. So I am extremely proud. I you know, and I know our community is, you know, that's the other thing is it doesn't feel like a burden to be that team. It feels like an opportunity for us for growth at Columbia. Yeah, I mean, offensively, we were just little. This is one thing that's always tough when you play certain styles of teams, right? Like these are 5 guards, so that we had mismatches in a lot of places on the court. For what I like to think, right? So for us, I think the hardest thing about that is there's a lot of options. And our team, it was like sometimes they're not used to a lot of options. Like Abby just sees a face guard, right? So like for her, she like knows the rhythm of the game. But they were like, do I pass, shoot, or drive? Like they just got to so many of those moments in the game, and we were just made uncertain. You know, 13 unforced turnovers pretty much in the first half. Whereas second half, the game had settled in. We're playing more freely. We're creating numbers up opportunities and not just playing against the set. You know, playing underneath you defense. That's just one area I don't know if we were expecting because this is a high pressure team and they didn't give us that pressure today. And I understand why, but you know that was something again. Like I think our team was just a little taken back by that to start. Huge, you know, it's just like bully ball at that point. Literally, it's just like we want it more than you. We're limiting every shot you take, right? Like they only had 6 O boards. It's not a lot of second chances. So that was a big goal of ours. I was like, we have to dominate the glass because this is a very good rebounding team as well. You know, they fly in from the perimeter. So we harped on it quite a lot all throughout this week. But, I mean, that wins you the game even if the ball's not going to the basket. So that was great to see. Yeah. I mean, I have no doubts. I really don't. I think our team just needs to make sure that every day counts, right? And that we don't waste opportunities. You know, it's not about playing perfect. It's about playing the right way and playing our way. And when we don't do that, you see something happen like Penn, you know. But honestly, I'm grateful that happened because it woke us up a little bit, you know. And now we get to really go run the rest of the table. So that's the plan. You know, it's one game at a time, one day at a time. No opponent is less than the next. So we treat Cornell like they're the defending champions on Monday.